Hi, welcome to episode 16 of DAO Talk. This is DAO Talk Weekly, your one-stop shop for everything DAOs. I'm Tommy.
And I'm Frisson.
All right, let's get into it. Frisson's not in his normal spot this week. And if you're watching the video, you've kind of gotten a little spoiler on the screen about where he's at. But Frisson, give us a update about where you're at, what's going on, and everything that's happening in the DAO world around you.
Yeah, I'm out here at MCON. It's a kind of low-key, intimate event, totally focused on DAOs and DAO builders in Denver. It's been really good so far. We're about halfway through the event, and there's been a lot of amazing panels, events. I've met a ton of people that I know from the internet in real life, which is always very fun. So yeah, I'm out here. I'm in my hotel room, recording a quick episode of DAO Talk before I get back to the event. So stoked for the rest of the day.
Awesome. Really, really good stuff happening out there. I've gotten some little bits and pieces from it. Definitely check them out on Twitter if you haven't. There's been some really good panels and some good content coming out of MCON. I'm disappointed I couldn't be there this year, but I will definitely be there next year, which I'm hoping it'll be called MCON 3. Is the 2 something else? Am I missing something?
No, that's it. Last year was MCON 1, and then I heard yesterday from an OG that there was an MCON 0, but it was like 30 people. So I'm sure next year will be MCON 3, and yeah, you should go. It'll be dope.
Moving right along, we got a pretty short week this week, but that doesn't mean that it isn't exciting. So, DAO, a little bit of an update. We'll start with, just kind of a community update from them. What's going on with DAO, and then, what's happening in the DAO world as it relates to DAO Talk.
Yeah, for sure. So we talk about DAO a lot on DAO Talk. It's a really interesting new primitive, new DAO tooling kind of approach where they do the voting on chain, but it is more about like fun and road mapping and community feedback. So the way a lot of people use Tally today, it's like the on-chain proposal is like fully formulated in advance of it being submitted, and then the community can just say like yes, no, or abstain from voting. Whereas DAO kind of takes a different approach where they kind of organize into contests, which are like time-bound events, and then anyone can submit a proposal and vote on it, and so you end up getting like tons of submissions, and then this kind of like dynamic voting environment where the community weighs in to help figure out what is the best submission. So we just recently concluded using DAO for DAO Talk to help us find 3 under the radar DAO builders to interview on DAO Talk. And the content just ended. Super great submissions. It was very competitive. There's 3 DAO under the radar DAO builders who won. Karen, Kleina Menek, and Chiron. They're all great people. And it's cool because they were all submitted by someone else, basically by their friends. Gaia, who we've worked with on a bunch of stuff in the past. Karsten Potter, who is like an awesome contributor to Rehash and a bunch of other DAOs. And then Maurice, who's also written for the Tally blog in the past. So super excited to interview Karen and Kleina Menek and Chiron, and you'll hear them on DAO Talk coming soon.
Yeah, that contest turned out really well. When we first started, we joked about, it's either going to get botted out of existence or no one's going to do it, and neither of those things happened. So I would consider that a success. And yeah, we're really looking forward to have our first, I don't know if you call them co-hosts or guests on DAO Talk Weekly, coming up pretty soon. So look forward for that, and I'm sure we'll do something more with the community and getting more people on DAO Talk Weekly in the future. Moving right along, someone we haven't talked about that much on DAO Talk, but we actually released a DAO Talk interview with the co-founder Will Papper this week from SyndicateDAO, which is originally and still is, a way to form investment DAOs, pretty much with no code. They've released a new platform called Collectives, which is a really interesting way to build social networks and community primitives on the blockchain. and they've released not a new version, but like kind of an updated, different version of the classic ERC 721 contract that has to do with NFTs. Frisson, do you know a lot about this or want to touch on it other than what's said right here in the tweet? Have you had time to dig into it?
Yeah, I haven't dug deeply into it, but I have had a few conversations about it with people here at MCON, so I've gotten a little bit of context. Um, it's I think it's kind of like a competitor to Lens, which is Aave's social media, like decentralized social media protocol. Um, I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool that like they're doing it fully on chain. I think, obviously syndicates is more like targeted at like companies and investment clubs and angel networks, which is like I guess their core, what their core product is, the audience their core product is serving. But I think it's a similar approach overall to Lens, where basically, your profile, your social media profile, and like all of your connections live on chain and are therefore like owned by you, but also come with some of the other benefits of like blockchain data, which is that they're composable and can be permissionlessly like used and leveraged by anyone. So I think this is super cool. It's interesting that they introduced like a new standard. That's always a challenge in like software. The ERC 721 is obviously like a very entrenched standard. It's basically the NFT standard, and so they've created like a new version of it that's kind of customized for this use case. So we'll see how much traction they get there, if that ends up being a point of friction. But yeah, I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool, and can't wait to see how people use it.
Yeah, I think a little spoiler, we might be using this for Content Guild moving forward just because we've had some issues this week distributing that. But I'm excited to use this. I'm just playing around with it a little bit before we started recording. It's super simple, super easy, and a lot of the issues you might run into have already been thought about from the team. In regards to claiming NFTs, if you don't know how to make an NFT, artwork, token gating, integrating with a lot of other tools in the space, for instance, like Guild or JokeDAO, maybe even Tally. I haven't really dug deep into, what are the integrations or what is um, the ability to use that, but something we talked about on the podcast with Will, who is the founder of Syndicate, is his big like passion when it comes to Web3 and crypto is the idea of composability. And I think if you look at everything Syndicate's doing, it is around that idea of like, hey, we have this. I mean, we put out the clip about him, like we have this network, this technology that promises this code will run forever without failing, without being tampered with. The things we can do with that and the things we can build. Um, the ideas and the possibilities are endless, and Syndicate is one of the coolest DAOs, in my opinion, exploring that idea of composability and then also arming the rebels per se with the tools to build the future. So excited to see what comes of this, and I'm excited to build on this as well. So let's move right along. We got a tweet from yours truly, Frisson, finishing the day off at MCON World with Dennison from Tally and Jules from 0x Metropolis, formerly known as Orca Protocol, answering the question, do we really need another DAO tool? Do you want to talk a little bit about some things that were discussed there, things that have been discussed over your time at MCON? I think that idea of like, hey, DAO tooling, do we need more? Do we have enough? Should our efforts be focused somewhere else? I think that's an important thing to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think this has been one. This is one of the best sessions at MCON so far. If I were to give like a TLDR to the answer that like Dennison and Jules has answered to the question, do we really need another DAO tool? It's like yes, but with the caveat that DAOs are going to like grow and change exponentially in the coming years. So it's not that we need another tool for the current state of DAOs. It's that, you know, what a DAO is going to change over time, and there's going to be many more of them, and there will absolutely be a need for new tools to emerge to support those use cases going forward. Dennison gave the example of like the internet and the growth of the internet, and how 10 years ago or 20 years ago, a lot of people didn't have a lot, many of the like, or they didn't use many of the basic building blocks of the internet. They didn't necessarily like create social media accounts or use smartphones, or do any of the behaviors that are like completely ubiquitous today, but now they do. And it's kind of because they have to. Like, as adoption of the internet, like globally, by people and businesses and governments and organizations has, gone to basically like full penetration, as like a person, you kind of need to end up adopting a lot of these internet primitives. And Dennison's point is like, I think we're going to see the same thing happen for DAOs over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. Like, it would just be like, if you have an internet native business of any kind, or you want to do stuff together with other people on the internet, you will make some kind of DAO and use DAO tooling, as we call it today. And in that world, there's going to be, just kind of like a need for more and more tools to serve that infrastructure and experience. So that was like Dennis and Jules' take, and definitely something I agree with as well.
Yeah, that idea flows directly into this tweet I saw from Jihad, who works at Guild. We have all the tools we need to build great DAOs, but go on about how tooling is too early. And then he follows it up with a really, I think, important justification or clarification. We can simultaneously have all the tools we need today and still have a long way to go before we have truly great, accessible tools. I think that kind of speaks for itself. I don't know if you want to add anything to that. If not, we can just move right along.
Yeah, I think it's like a chicken and the egg problem, or like a virtuous cycle in the case of DAOs and DAO tooling. Like, people create tools, DAOs use them, they refine them, they find the gaps, people create more tools, which allows more DAOs to exist, with then press against the limitations and the UX and usability of those tools. And that's where you get kind of the circle. So if you look at the state of that cycle at any given time, it's kind of like easy to point out the flaw, which is like, we already have tools, but DAOs aren't fully using them, or there's not enough DAOs to use all the tools. Like, that's what it looks like at any given snapshot or moment in time. But if you take a step back and look at the way it's playing out over time, it's like a very positive cycle where like there's already tooling that exists. DAOs use the tooling, they find the gaps, more tooling is built, and we kind of like evolve into the future that way.
Yeah, I think you can even like look back at past episodes. It's been interesting to watch your like philosophical growth in regards to like how you view this, because I remember a long time ago, not that long ago, but like a long time in crypto, a couple months, like you were always like, I mean, jokingly too, like there's too many tools, not enough DAOs, and then you're like, I'm going to single-handedly build all the DAOs to use all the tools. But I think it's an interesting point, right? If you look out, if you zoom out, you see that cycle that you're talking about, which is I think why we're all here and why we're super excited about the future. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, DAOs still have to be working. I saw an interesting tweet kind of along this line. It's like, it might have even been an MCON. It might have been a quote, but it was like, everyone wants to do governance, but no one wants to work. It's along the same line. So,
yeah, I think like one of the points Jihad is making is like, as that cycle evolves, where it's like tooling is created, DAOs use the tooling, continue. Like the side of the market, or like the part of that cycle that needs more effort going into it, is the actual creating and building of DAOs right now. And I still agree with that. So even though I have this like long-term view, I still think what's needed most right now is more DAOs, and definitely still plan to just be like, creating DAOs for sure. Like, that's what Content Guild is about. And I think more to come there.
I think it's more nuanced than just like, and I think that's the point of the tweet, is like, and what we're discussing, it's not just too many tools, not enough DAOs. There's more to that than just that. So exciting. All right. Our last little bit of news this week is, sorry, I just bumped my mic. DAO Research Collective released a really awesome thread from a workshop they did this past, I think it was earlier this week, correct? I think
it was last week.
Last week.
Last week.
our CTO is there, correct?
Yeah, Raph from Tally was there. With like, yeah, this is like an even smaller, even more intimate event than MCON of DAO operators, researchers, and is a little bit more on the research side. Whereas I would say MCON is very much on like the practitioner side, like people who are actually building. But yeah, I heard really good things about the event from Raph and a couple other people that we work with at Tally, like Kyler Wandler from Sporos DAO and Han from Uniswap, who are both there. They said it was a really good, a really great day.
Yes, speaking of Kyler, he is the one I believe that put this thread together, which is a preliminary thread of kind of the conclusions and research they did this past week at that collective or at that workshop. I don't know what I'm saying. It's called DAO Research Collective at DAO Research Co. It's a 49 tweet thread. If you don't want to go deep into what is released later on, but it's a really, really good thread to dive deep into what they talked about and hear directly from some of the best and brightest minds from like VCs, researchers, operators, founders, contributors, etc. in the space. So go check this thread out. It's really, really good, chock full of information. If you remember or this sounds familiar, DAO Research Collective is the organization that released the library for basically anyone in a DAO, from a contributor to an investor to a founder, etc. It is, in my opinion, still like one of the single best resources you can have in regards to anything as it comes to DAOs. If you're looking at the screen now, you can see it's literally just a search bar, and you can search basically any topic. Like we can just search governance, search governance loading, and you have all of these top search results for governance as it comes to DAOs, and then you can just look at everything that's listed on the site. So if you ever have any questions or you're not sure where to start with anything, this is a great resource, and I would direct this to a lot of people who want to learn more about DAOs too. I think it's good for any level.
Yeah, love this resource. We've been talking about them pretty consistently since they launched. One of the themes that we've been talking about at Tally coming out of the Stanford blockchain conference is this question of like, what are DAOs uniquely good at, or what do they uniquely enable? And this also ties back to like the Denison and Jules MCON talk that we just covered, which is like, if DAOs are inevitable, like what are the behaviors that people want to do together on the internet, or businesses want to do, organizations want to do, that are uniquely enabled by DAOs? And then how can we focus on those as builders, but also like as tooling providers? How can we focus the tools that we're providing around those unique capabilities of DAOs? So anyway, that's one of the things we've been talking about, just like at Tally, that came out of the conversation at Stanford.
Dope. Yeah, look for a lot more content coming out of that workshop, not only from Tally, but I think for people in general. I think that's going to have a lot of lasting effects coming in the coming month, especially as I'm gonna make a prediction, like hot DAO or cold DAO winter, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I'm still thinking of a name, but I think September, October, November is going to be a very, very big and exciting month for DAOs and just the Web3 space in general. So let's move and finish up with a meme of the week. Unless you have something to say.
Maybe hot DAO winter should be a thing. It's like everyone says hot DAO summer, it's hot girl summer, it's hot DAO builder summer, but like you really need to heat in the winter, So maybe hot DAO winter should be the thing, or we could do something around cuffing season. Like I'll be honest, I don't really know what cuffing season is, but like I see people post about it, and just the name is hilarious to me.
You need a little bit. Okay, cuffing season, Frisson, this is the resident boomer, and what is my generation?
You're like right on the line, but I think of you as a Zoomer.
Okay, I'm a Zoomer. Cuffing season is when you switch from summer to winter, and winter you have hot girl summer, your promiscuous summer. You're not tied down. You can do whatever you want. And then cuffing season is when you cuff someone. So like think of it like a handcuff. you're locking yourself down. You're in a relationship for the winter, and that's so you can do all your spooky season activities. Go to pumpkin patches. Go to go to mazes for Halloween. Have someone to bring home for the holidays, and then when it comes to spring, it's hot girl summer starts all over again. But that's where cuffing season comes from. So I hope that's been a insightful explanation. But yes, I think we should do something with cuffing season for DAO. DAOs. I just got to think of like what is the good word for that? If you've thought of anything.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of what I figured cuffing season was, just like intuitively, but I didn't want to make any assumptions. So thanks for that breakdown, Tommy. That was clutch. Um, yeah, like this is gonna be cuffing season, for DAOs. It's like we're all gonna find the right match. The DAOs are gonna find their tools. The DAOs are gonna like partner with each other. There's gonna be like everybody's gonna evaluate and then settle down with their tools and their like partner DAOs over the winter. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. That's a stretch. I'll keep working on it.
In progress. I'll think about that as well. But all right, we're kind of already in the meme of the week. But let's move all right along. Meme of the week. This is me. Me trying to figure out what's going on in the world via meme since I refuse to watch the news. I don't know about if that's you, Frisson, but I refuse to watch the news.
Bruh. I don't consume the news. I actually think it's like most news is very unhealthy and like intentionally presented in such a way that like causes adrenaline spikes and anxiety in people, and like very very rarely do they dive into any of the like underlying trends that are driving things, which is the actual interesting part. So yeah, I'm not a fan of news, and I get all my news from Twitter. And I do like, it's kind of like the cuffing season thing. Like I see people talking about cuffing season, but I refuse to actually look it up. So I'm like, I just try to figure out what cuffing season is from like people's jokes. And that's exactly how I consume world news. People just talk about it like right now. Everyone on Twitter is talking about how the Queen passed away, R.I.P. And like, what I'm learning is that people have very differing opinions about the Queen. Like some people are like R.I.P. It's a great lady. Other words British people say, and then the other people are like they hate the Queen. They think that she's like an imperialist, and so yeah, half the other people are like, yeah, that's right. You're done, Queen. And I'm like, wow, okay, all right. So yeah. Anyway, I get all of my current world event information from Twitter for show, and I also am like as muscular and have as big of a jaw as this guy as well.
Yeah, I've actually seen Frisson in person. He literally looks exactly like this. It's pretty insane, actually. He's like 6'5", and it's just the beard is lined perfectly. But
yeah, I'm just a Chad.
go see. Make sure to go to your next local DAO conference, and you'll see him there. But yeah, that's been episode 16 of DAO Talk. We'll be back next week I'm in my normal location. Frisson will hopefully be back next week. And I don't know if we're going to have our first guest next week or the week after, but look out for that. Stay up to date with everything at TallyXYZ on Twitter. That's where we tweet a lot about DAO Talk. Follow us on our personal accounts at 0xFrisson. Frisson is Frisson, and then me at Tommy Lauer. It's been a pleasure talking with you this week, Frisson. Enjoy the rest of your time in the greatest city in the world, Denver, Colorado.
All right, bro. Listen, next week I'm gonna be at home where I belong in Salt Lake City, which is very dissimilar to Denver, but just better in every way. So yeah. But yeah, it's been good. It's been great, but need to get back to my home base. So yeah, we'll see you next week.
All right, peace.
Peace.